I like having such a vast amount of space to work in. When things are going well here, it's like the perfect place to be. I'm Tom Golland, I'm a designer, mostly working with furniture. It's a Saturday and we are at a powder coating factory in the East Midlands. I decided to study furniture design just because of a constant interest in how things are built and how things go together. I'm sat on a side table that I designed that is comprised of 5 identical aluminium folded components with a custom powder coat. The form is basically inspired by a lot of the components that are painted in this factory. Often very large scale pieces of infrastructure, so crash barriers, steel beams. The paint finishes for this table range, these are all sort of surplus stock, so left over from large industrial scale jobs. This colour scheme has like this blue rippled pigment, which I think was brought in for a job years ago, and like it's something that's kind of unlikely to be used again, so I've kind of saved that before it ends up being thrown into the waste bin. Outside, where I often keep paint samples and the powder I've mixed. When I left last weekend, I hadn't labelled it correctly, so by the time I'd come back this weekend, it was already in the bin. But luckily, I managed to save it before it left the site. Sort of the selection for colours will vary on each project. Sometimes I've sort of taken inspiration from a painting. For this series of tables, I have like a colour sample book. This is a book my girlfriend bought me for Christmas. I think this colour scheme is loosely inspired by one of these that I might have seen.
Are they scientifically saying that these colours are complementary, or is it just...
I do not have a clue, to be honest. I think I get a pass because it's in Japanese. I don't know. Often, like a day here, we'll start with arriving by train. As soon as I get in, I'll turn on the air compressor, heat up the oven, and then I'll start mixing the pigment. Yeah, my work hasn't always been colourful. I've sort of experimented in sort of raw aluminium. So yeah, this factory's become a bit of a playground for experimenting with colour. Yeah, so these were the samples which were done to reach these final 5 colours. I forgot how many samples I did. Bigger table. Once I have sort of a rough idea in powder form, I'll then load this pigment into the powder coating gun, which is electrostatic. Once the powder is sprayed onto the metal, it's put in an oven for roughly sort of 25 to 30 minutes.
What happens in that process?
So, I don't know. In that process, the pigment is hardened. I don't know too much about the sort of the technicalities of it. I do know it has to be baked at roughly 180 degrees. So yeah, in theory, you could probably cure a powder coat in your domestic home oven.
Have you tried that?
Not yet. I mean, it's quite reassuring painting on this track system because you don't actually have to like enter the oven. A lot of the like larger stuff within this factory gets pushed into this ginormous oven here. Near disaster number 2. So I imagine this stuff was probably baked and cured yesterday, but you can still feel how hot. Yeah, I mean, I think this table design and then like the mixing of the colours, it's all sort of a response to the factory. So like the surplus waste and, you know, this like repeatability of the panel. So yeah, in total there's 75 of these folded sheets, which are all identical. Yeah, for me the sort of primary focus is always the colour and the powder coating process and mixing the pigments. I never wanted the sort of the design of the furniture to stand out more than the colour itself. So this is like this sort of pared back, 5 panels repeated. It's sort of very much undesigned. It's super lightweight and the paint finish should be like extremely hard wearing. So I'm hoping it's something that people will easily move with and hopefully, yeah, not sort of throw away after a few years. I think, yeah, in the future I'd love to scale up the process. There's like plenty of surplus pigments just in this factory. Yeah, I think it could definitely be applied to sort of other archetypes. Modular shelving is something that I'd like to look at next. I think this one turned out all right though. I like it.